Osorio, and I represent Enfuego Christian Academy. And the title of my piece is David and His Giant Problem. This story is intended for children 6 to 8 years old. It's hard to feel brave and confident when you're faced with giant problems, isn't it? Sometimes we feel that our problems are so big that there's no way to overcome them. So, what do we do when that happens? Do we give up? Let me tell you of the story of how a young man faced his giant problem. Our story takes place in the valley of Elah, where the Philistines were fighting God's chosen people, the Israelites. At first, the Israelites believed that they would be able to defeat the Philistines. But that was before they came face to face with the Philistine giant, Goliath. Goliath was the Philistines' best warrior. He was big, he was strong, he was mean, and he was ugly. When the Israelites saw him, they screamed at the top of their lungs, "Ah!" and ran away as fast as they could. "Ah! Ah! Ah! You Israelites are a bunch of scared chickens. I wonder if there's anyone among you who isn't scared of little old me. Why don't you choose someone brave enough to fight me?" The Israelites hated to admit it, but they were all scared of Goliath. Not one of them was brave enough to fight this mean old giant. Meanwhile, a young shepherd named David arrived at the Israelite camp. He had just come from his house to bring his older brothers some lunch. He took one look at Goliath and said, "Whoa, who's the big ugly dude?" "That's Goliath," one Israelite soldier said. "He is challenging us to choose one person to fight against him." "But no one wants to fight against him." Why not?" David asked. "Oh, I don't know. Maybe because he's big," the Israelite soldier said. But David said, "Well, he's as big as a dinosaur. But he doesn't have God on his side like we do." At that moment, the Israelite king Saul asked, "Who among you would volunteer to fight Goliath?" "Not I," said one Israelite soldier. "Not I," said another Israelite soldier. I, said the third Israelite soldier. But David said, "Pick me, pick me." At first, King Saul wasn't sure David was serious or not. But when David said, "I've killed lions and bears to protect my sheep, I know I can take down that mean old giant," King Saul agreed. Now all David needed were some weapons. David tried on King Saul's armor, but it was too big. Then David tried to carry King Saul's sword, but it was too heavy. So David decided to use his slingshot instead. And it was just right. David went out to meet the giant Goliath. All at once, the giant Goliath started laughing harder than ever. "Is this the best you can send me? A shrimp?" But David wasn't scared of Goliath or his threats. "You're going down, Goliath, because God is with me," he said, taking out a stone and arming his slingshot. Goliath growled and charged at David, but David moved quickly. He used his slingshot to fire directly at the giant's forehead. Bullseye! Goliath started seeing the stars dance around his face for a few seconds. God, he moaned before he fell face down on the ground. Well, you can imagine everybody's shocked when that happened. When the Philistines saw the giant defeated, they screamed at the top of their lungs, "Ah!" and ran away as fast as they could. "Ah! Ah! 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 Ah!" The Israelites, now confident in seeing how God worked through David, bravely chased the Philistines out of the land. Meanwhile, David thanked God for his help. You see, the only reason David could bravely face the giant was that he knew God was with him. God's presence makes all the difference. So the next time you find yourself faced with a giant problem, always remember that you've got a much bigger God that will help you through it.